Well, good afternoon. This is me, PJ, in Los Angeles. It's a little chilly in the office, so I have to scarf up. Glad that you can join me for the next webcast. I hope we have a great time talking about some issues that are taking place in our world today as we confront the reality of our lives. Let me be centered. I like to look presentable. You know me. Uh, Do you know what today is, and or do you know what is taking place around most of the world today? Let's say in Washington, D.C. Do you know what's happening? People are marching all over the world talking about this genocide taking place in Palestine. No, I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about something that's the motivator of all of this mayhem. And I think you have it right there in front of you. The motorization of Mammon. The motorization of Mammon. Mammon is another definition or word for money. It's I was having a deep conversation with a friend of mine, and he was telling me that I need to be a little bit more concentrative on money. I'm not. I've never been a person that has been greedy. I don't know whether you're hearing me on this, but a greedy person is never satisfied with uh, a greedy person is never satisfied with less or little. A greedy person, it's all right. My days of giving a Bible study are over, but I want to raise this premise right now. Jesus said, if you want to follow the prophet or the philosopher, Jesus, the God man, he said, what is it if a man would gain the whole world and lose his soul? I think that's one of the first verses of Bible that I ever really concentrated on as a young man. And it draws me to beg the question, what if I were to gain the whole world? And what is the world? Okay. That's also been one of my things. I recall when I came up in the Christian church, I was taught that if that I was not to be of the world. And the difficulty that I had addressing was, what was it to be of the world? What is it to be worldly? Jesus said, what if a man should gain the entire world and lose his soul? You know, preachers use that sometimes when they try to get your money and say you shouldn't be worldly, you shouldn't be attached to money. So, okay, what should I do not to be attached to money? Well, give me your money. What? And I'm just trying to pull this thing up on me because I'm trying to stay warm. Ooh, old man gets cold these days. I've never been a worldly person. I worked, I had a job. I know that it's important to work for some finance, but I never loved it. I never craved it. How can I say, I never was the kind of person that um, demanded money. I performed marriages. I performed dedication of babies. I performed so many ceremonies over the years as a pastor, as a minister. Um, and having done all those things, I feel a sense of reward has already come my way when I see people responding in a proper way to what I've taught over decades. But there's one thing that I have never seemed to understand is why would someone crave mammon, money? And why would they do anything to motorize this, to not only make more than they can consume, and at the same a second time, not only making it, but refusing to share the benefit of what they've made with others that are in more need of it than they themselves. Hear me out. Oh, and I want to thank, I had one person watch my last webcast, and what did they call me? They call me a narcissist. They call me an old crazy narcissist. That's what they call me after watching my last webcast. Well, I think I owe this person an explanation of why I do what I do. I have a long history of broadcasting. If you would take the time to go to my YouTube page, you would see me years ago as a very, very, very young man, a young pastor. I'm not narcissistic. No, I'm not. I'm one of the old guys that are still alive, still hanging on and enjoying this life. Don't get me wrong. I'm not only hanging on, but I am enjoying my present life at almost 80 years old. Uh, there's no one on this thing with me now. I've been talking almost 9 minutes, and I'm appreciating my communication with those that will watch me far beyond this time because it's Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles. Right now it's about 1:42 in the PM. So the restaurants are full, the beaches are packed. Outside, it's a sunshiny day, not a cloud in the sky. Uh, let's see what my phone says that the weather is. You know, I gotta key in. Okay. What does the weather look like? It's 63 degrees outside, and it's telling me that it probably won't get any warmer than this in Los Angeles. And they say it's partly cloudy. There's a few puffs in the sky. This is a perfect day for Los Angeles. And I want to ask you a question. Do you think that we are headed towards world war? I happen to think we are. And it is because of the love of, or the motorization of Mammon. This want to gain the priority over another person's life. We are seeing the demise of a decent civilization because of the love for and of money. There is enough, hear me out, there is enough sustenance in the United States of America, I believe, to take care of everyone in this hemisphere. Just like I believe that there's enough food in China, there's enough food in Russia, there's enough food all over the world to take care of everybody if everybody would decently share it. That's all they would have to do. But I don't think that humankind in my lifetime will ever come to the point where you would actually see them loving one another. I don't think that I'll live to ever see that. My doctor has told me to hydrate, stay hydrated. I love the idea. In this country, we can do it. Have you thought about the people in other countries that just can't pick up a cool bottle of water? We take it here so easily. And I have been taught in my adult life, even up to this point, that wow, I just read that Ecuador's security forces have arrested 859 people. They seized ammunition, firearms, and explosive boats and cars during a sting operation. Ecuador's government deployed this army of police officers after gunmen stormed a television studio on Tuesday. So the Ecuadorian government is cracking down. Do you see what's happening all over the world? Uh, they deployed this army and police officers as the gunmen stormed into the studio. President Daniel Maboa, he issued a decree declaring that Ecuador is an international armed conflict, and it is the an unprecedented security crisis in the country of Ecuador. Riotings in the prisons, hostages, and attacks on Ecuadorian police. Oh my God. This is happening as I speak to you right now. And it's and you see these outbursts taking place all over the world. And it appears that most people don't know how to contend with it. The motorization of Mammon, because they have to cut down on the gangs. Man, when the gangs literally take over for a government, then you know we are living in perilous times. Do you think that? Do you think that we're living in perilous times? Or do you think I'm just spinning out? Man. And I'm watching live scenes of what I've just said to you right now, and live reporters on the scene. Unfortunately, you're not going to see that on American television. And then in Colombia, There was a landslide today, killed 33 people. Now the people are seeking shelter from the heavy rains. Oh, yeah. Peruvian politics seeking a 34-year sentence for Castillo. Man, they trying to send everybody to jail. The corruption, government's breaking down all around us. What do you think? What are your thoughts on those things? In Denmark, they got a thing. Prince Frederick is to be crowned the king in Denmark. In Europe, they're showing his family, his children, and all of them standing up, and all this money. All this money. And people are happy about that, but there's people dying with no food and no water right now all over the world. But we have a tendency to want to see, especially we Westerners, we Americans, we want to ooh, can I speak freely on my own webcast? I recall on Sundays, the priority in this country was, where are you going to church? You could be Presbyterian, Methodist, charismatic, conservative, liberal, but you were going to somebody's church on a Sunday morning. Now it's, which network are you going to watch the games on? Because Sunday worship and adoration for God and goodness and seeking righteousness and all that stuff has been replaced with game shows, music shows, comedic circumstances, arguing about what one cleric said over another cleric, bashing each other over nonsensical hypocrisy. Just a view from an older man, because I recall when Sunday was a time when everybody was on their way home from church at about this time on Sunday. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I was pastoring at 152, which it is right now, we'd still be on the church lot speaking with most of our friends and watching our children and grandchildren run across the church grounds. And there was probably nowhere to park because everybody went to church. And I recall that what we had at our church to help the community, because we were in the middle of the inner city. So, quite naturally, how do you help your community? We called it the Helps Ministry Day. The Helps Ministry Day. And on that Saturday, I would ask all of the members of the church to bring something, and it has to be workable. If it's a radio, it has to have batteries. If it's a toaster, it has to be clean and it has to work. And I said, look in your homes and find many items that you don't require anymore. Bring them to the church. And we set up 2 rows of tables on the back church parking lot. And we set all of these items, and we had on the church fence because it was one of those roll fences that you sealed off the property in the parking lot. Well, we had signs on it saying free ministry giveaway. And we had the time that we were going to do it. And the night before, for Friday night choir rehearsal, a lot of people brought stuff in. We had it in the church. And then on Saturdays, we put it out on the table. The church members yet brought many of these workable items. And on Thanksgiving and Christmas, each of the members would bring an extra turkey. And on that Helps Ministry Day, we had it all out there and it was free. And the citizens in the neighborhood, in the area of the church, would line up, and they were mainly Hispanic when we sold that property because our church, the building got too small. And so we had to get a larger facility. But we gave away stuff and clothes, the nicest clothing, shoes, had to have shoestrings in it, and they were clean. And that was the most beautiful time that I loved to do ministry. I felt like a pastor. Man, I was doing something to bless the community, give to the community, not take from the community. That was the whole strain of Christian ministry then, back in, because I became the senior pastor in what year? I think 1985. Yes. And I pastored there about a good 12 years at the vet before I left that. But it was a great stay because it was there where I developed this heart for the people. That's why when there's a motorization of mammon, when I look at pastors today, they don't care for the people. They care too much for themselves. I was telling a friend of mine yesterday, the only time I went on a sea cruise in my life was a few years after my wife had passed away. And I went by myself. I just wanted to, it was the 5-day Alaskan cruise. And I needed a passport because we went up into British Columbia. My passport, I wonder if I still have it. Let me see if I'm sharp enough to remember where I put it. Oh, at least I think it's here. What if it isn't? Well, it has to be somewhere else. Oh, it's somewhere around here. Somewhere. I'm sure I'll come upon it. Let's see. Somebody beamed me. But let's see. Here we go. Oh. Oh, a friend of mine. My friend, I'm doing great. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a YouTube live right now. So you can tune in and ask me any question you'd like. Thanks. All right. I just had someone contact me and ask me how I was doing. So and see if he'll come on. And you know what? You guys can, because when you come on after the fact, when you come on after the fact, I'd like you to ask me, and I'm putting it out there on this one, and it's absolutely free. I'm not trying to get a bunch of counts up and stuff like that, but ask me any Bible question you want. And with the capacity that I yet have in me, I will answer that Bible question in a way that will satisfy your soul. And I will answer it only if it has to do with the Bible. Uh, I am not up on the Quran or any other form of religious book. Uh, I don't apologize. It's just that most of my upbringing has been with this book. I'll show it to you again. I keep this one near me, and the cover is worn off because it's my family text. In other words, my family Bible. Look at that cover, if you can imagine that. That is speaking volumes. That is speaking volumes, isn't it? Ah, see, that shows you. As a matter of fact, I dare not try to even read this without my glasses on. I don't know why I even venture into that. But you can ask me any Bible question you want, and I'll try to answer it for you. Oh, this is the red letter edition. Okay, this is what I'll do. I'm reading from my family Bible, and this is good. My grandparents and all of them uh, are here reading with me. For the kingdom of heaven is likened to a man that is in a that is a householder, which went early in the morning to his laborers in his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. Oh, this is a good scripture. Listen to this. I'm going to deal with these thieving preachers that many of you have given your lives over to. Because and this is in the red letter edition. So that means Jesus supposedly is giving this, and I'm going to give you a beautiful interpretation of it, since I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Okay? And I'm reading from Matthew chapter 20, verses 1, and I'm moving down. And he said unto them, Go also into the vineyard, and whosoever is right, whatsoever is right, I will give you. And they went their way. Now, so this man owned a bunch of land, and what he did is he went out into the vineyard, and he was a landowner, and he had these servants working for him, and he told them that he would pay them if they would go to work, and whatever is right, he would pay them. And they agreed on this payment that they were going to get. And so this all makes sense. It all makes sense. He agreed to pay them, and they said, okay, we'll do that. We can handle that. So thus far, we have nothing wrong with that. It was a wonderful plan. And they agreed because he said, whatever is right, I will pay you for it. All right. Now let's continue to look at this. All right. And said unto them, Go your way also into the vineyard. This is verse 4. and whatsoever is right, I'll give you. And they went their way. Again, he went out about the sixth, and then the ninth hour, he did likewise. In other words, 3 hours later, 6 hours later, he went out and found some more guys standing around in the marketplace, and he says, I got a vineyard that got to be worked. Whatsoever right, I'll pay you. And they agreed and they went. Now, follow the parable. Follow what's being said here. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle, and said unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? In other words, he asked them, why are you not being produceful in your lives? Why are you not getting done what you're supposed to get done? Okay. And they said unto him, Because no man hath hired us. And he said unto them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. In other words, he said, the work day is almost over, and he said, I still see you guys standing around, some standing around, go and work, and whatsoever is right, I'll pay you. All right. So when even has come, in other words, the evening time, and I'm reading from my old family King James Version. I'm not reading from the New American Standard. I'm reading from the old King James Version right here. So when the evening had come, the Lord of the vineyard said unto his steward, Call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last to the first. In other words, call all the people that's been working out there on my farm, and so that they can get their pay for what they were supposed to be doing. And when he had came, there he hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. In other words, the people that he hired, okay, to work for an hour, he gave them a penny. Now, what Jesus is doing is he's not putting a value on money. He's communicating to us how money is supposed to work. And this is what we're doing. We're looking at how money is supposed to work. Are you following? Now, and this is beautiful. I'm glad I turned to this. And when the first came, he supposed that he should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had came and received it, they murmured against the good man of the house. In other words, look, this is what happened. The men that worked 8 hours settled for a penny, and they worked 8 hours and got their penny. And the men that was working for 6 hours, they came to and they got a penny. And then when it came down to the last worker that the man hired, he only worked an hour and he got a penny. So the other guys came and grumbled and was telling the master of the house, how could you pay us only a penny when we worked 8 hours and he worked 1 hour and he got a penny? How can you call that fair? You owe us at the rate that you paid him. But if you read further down on the scripture, Jesus says, when I hired you, Did you not agree to do the work for a penny? And when they thought back, they said, yep. Now, the moral of this parable that Jesus gives here is a simple one. And it is that God gives each of his creation what he wants to produce and give to them. I believe that God has given many African Americans that are the grandchildren and great 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 grandchildren of slaves. God has granted all of us a certain allotment based upon our talent and abilities and God's graces in light of all the restraints that's been put on our backs to make it difficult for us to have a means on surviving. Each of us has a different amount of funds. I have never been a lover of money. To tell you the truth, I do not understand anyone that would love money more than anything else in this world. That's why I said earlier, if Jesus said, what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the love of money is the roots of all kinds of evil. All right? That's what the good book, the Bible, tells us. The love of it, not the having of it, but the love of it. We are not to love mammon. If you have a good heart, you are satisfied with what you have. Even the world powers know that. But if you have an evil heart, you want to decimate the other man and his culture and his family and everything else. I wouldn't do that. I believe in a merciful divine creator that's going to give to every man his just reward, the due result of his life. And I believe that too many preachers that did what I did years ago have become thieves. Thieves. The rascals are dirty thieves. And I'm watching how one person can be wiped off the planet right in front of me. And it appears that we're just standing by and doing nothing. Thus, my title, The Motorization of Mammon. When that money is moved in certain ways, and then you become complicit in it, even through your own silence. That's what this is all about. And unfortunately, I believe that it's going to get worse. I believe that it's going to continue to grow until it throws us into a worldwide chaos. It's weird because back in the 70s and 80s, when I was a young man in ministry, all this stuff was taught. And this is like I'm watching a movie, a scene from a movie of something that I saw years ago. Ooh, it's cold, isn't it? I got to stay warm, people. I got to stay warm because the old man has to stay warm. I dress like this because I got to stay warm. But I want to tell you guys something. Unless we as a nation Wait a minute. There, um, let's see what this is.
Campaign will not discourage us or weaken our determination to fight to the end, because something has changed in the history of our people. Citizens of Israel, we're on the way to victory, and we will not stop until we achieve victory. I know there are those who doubt it. I'm not one of those.
That's him saying we're going to keep on doing this thing until we get the victory over all of it. My goodness. Just like Russia's going to continue her assault on Ukraine, and other people are going to continue their assaults on other people they don't like. You guys think I'm exaggerating or not telling enough truth, and so that we can understand a man must keep groomed. He must. I think that because of this, and I call it abnormal because I've never loved money. So I think it abnormal for someone to love money. But I understand the need of it. Well, I don't have to make long webcasts. I want to thank those of you that's been coming by. Listen to the other ones. No, I'm not narcissistic. I'm just an old man hanging around the house with nothing to do but this. And I don't mind doing it. And I'm glad that I could do it and have you here with me to share with me this afternoon. Thank you for visiting Los Angeles in the middle of the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. This is Saturday, January 13th, 2024. And I'm PJ. Thank you. Take care now.